Welcome to my channel. My name is Alex and I travel full-time with my cat and my FJ Cruiser. Sometimes we take the travel trailer with us, other times all we've got is our overlanding setup. Last time I showed you some of the food that I cook when I'm at camp, and I took you on a sunset hike through the park and talked about some of the illegal immigration activity that goes on at Organ Pipe. This week we're packing up and heading to Tucson. Like I said, packing up my Gazelle T4 tent is a lot of work, but it's totally worth it to have the ground space. Packing up my cat stuff is also a lot of work, but I really do enjoy camping with my adventure kitty. I cleaned Shadow's litter box and then I prepped to get him out of the rooftop tent, which is usually not a lot of work or anything like that, but I try to be careful because I don't want to spook him on the way down. This particular day, he was very active, which was strange. As I said, he is not a morning person or morning cat. So it was really weird for him to be this awake and interested in what I was doing. So I decided to take precautions and put him inside the truck, but open the carrier in case he wanted to come out, while I went ahead and finished packing up the rooftop tent. Because I already had the carrier open while I was finishing up at camp, I thought, you know what, let me just leave it open for the drive to Tucson and see what he does. Shadow typically never comes outside of the carrier. He has no interest in what's going on, but today was very, very different. I have no idea why he was so curious and mischievous even on this day, because he actually came out of the carrier. So not only did he get out of the carrier willingly, but he also hopped across the center console and got down to my feet, which became a dangerous situation, so this was a definite no. And don't worry, I don't look when I'm filming these things. I have a pocket camera, so I just turn it on and point and hope that it catches something, and I was lucky enough to get this footage before I was able to pull over. But that's not a good spot. It's dangerous. You can stay right here. All right, this is a good spot. This is a okay spot. After this, Shadow did try to get down to my feet again, so I had to pull over for the second time, put him back in the carrier and just zip him up because it was just getting insane. That's dangerous. I did not think that he would do that, and now that I know he does that, I have not unzipped the carrier since. But he actually wanted to come out and I felt bad, so I stopped at the gas station on my way to Tucson. This is inside the Indian reservation. There's a Subway there, and I told them I had a cat and asked if I could get a little bit of tuna for him, and they gave me a whole scoop. So that was really nice, and Shadow obviously really appreciated that. So finally we get to Tucson Mountain. It's mostly RVs here if you ever think of going. It is a beautiful park. The sunsets were absolutely amazing, and I didn't have any issues pulling up with just my truck and my rooftop tent. That was perfectly fine. I mentioned this because some campgrounds and RV parks only rent to fully self-contained units, and that's typically only RVs. So I was really glad that was not going to be a restriction here. The first order of business was setting up the solar. This is my Goal Zero Lithium 1000 X solar generator. I use it when I'm RVing, I use it when I'm camping. I thought it would be better to get a unit I can move between all my setups as opposed to having solar permanently installed on the RV, and I'm really glad that that was the option that I went with. There was a lot of cloud cover, so I wanted to get that done first, because I wanted to charge my laptop, charge my phones, charge my cameras, and get some work done because I had been without a working laptop for a couple of days. Once again, I set up the T4 tent. Very, very easy to go up. It didn't take me a lot of time. Then I set my Berkey. This was the last day that it was nice and spotless because the tent took it down later, but we will get to that. For now, let's do some cleanup work on the inside of the rooftop tent. No, I do not smell Shadow's litter box inside, but nevertheless, he does track litter throughout the tent, well, on his side anyways. So usually what I'll do is I'll vacuum it up and then I will wipe it down with sanitizing wipes before putting everything back inside again. I hadn't owned or used a Windows PC in a really long time, but I wanted something that was going to be really functional and cheap, that was refurbished. I think I paid about $300 for it. Don't quote me, I'm not 100% sure. And it was really well packaged. It looked brand new. I actually forgot that it was certified refurbished until I started editing this video. It's a beautiful laptop, but I'm not gonna lie, after coming from my $1,000 Google Pixelbook, this was such a step down that I hated it. I'm not even gonna lie. I went right back to Chromebook a couple of months after this. But anyways, I was able to charge it by plugging it directly into my solar generator because it has an inverter on board. Next thing on my to-do list was getting the rooftop tent set up again for Shadow to go inside and then put him in, of course. Usually I do this first, but I really had to make an exception because of how bad the sky looked, and I really wanted to get the laptop charged so I could use it before going to bed. I then shut the bug screen to keep all the critters out. Hey, bud. Hey. Hey, buddy. I'm gonna go get your food. Once I got Shadow nicely situated, I took a shower, I put my paper towel up, I put the garbage back up, I put my light on the back, and now I was set to really enjoy the location. It was a beautiful, beautiful evening. The sunset was just spectacular. I hadn't seen a sunset that beautiful since I left California. I mean, those sunsets were so beautiful. You would look outside and all the neighbors would be lined up on the street with their phones just taking pictures of it. So this was really, really beautiful, and I loved that I got to experience it the way that I did. Then it was time to eat. I was hungry. I still had half of my Subway sandwich left, so that was dinner. As soon as the sun went down, the wind kicked up and it knocked out my ground tent. It hit the side of the FJ Cruiser. Shadow kind of freaked out a little bit, knocked over my Berkey, which you can imagine is loud. That was metal hitting rock on the way down. And I had my Lugabaloo inside the tent, so I was kind of freaked out about like what kind of mess was going to be in there. But the Lugabaloo actually stayed closed, thank goodness. And I was able to pack up the tent. I took the Berkey to this nice little wash station that they have at the park, which I thought was really unique. It actually has warm water, which is great when you have to take a bucket shower really late at night. So then I started moving the rest of the stuff because I had a feeling the windstorm was going to get worse. It wasn't that bad right here, like it wasn't a constant wind, but it was coming and going. So I moved the solar panels. You can see I pushed the table all the way up against the FJ because that was the direction the wind was coming in, and then I put a rock on the tent. The moving around you hear is Shadow. He was really fascinated by the coyotes. He did not, however, like it when the wind started to get worse. It was so bad, I really started to wonder if the rooftop tent was going to hold up. The FJ was rocking, which is just insane. It was that bad. Shadow did start to freak out when the wind was at its worst around 3 o'clock in the morning. I didn't record anything because I was just like crossing fingers and toes and making sure the tent was really going to hold up, which it did, and I am extremely grateful for that. I wouldn't take it into that kind of wind again, but it's nice to know that it's possible. When I woke up in the morning, I was really nervous to see how it looked outside and if I had lost anything or there was damage, but everything was fine. All my prepping from sundown worked really well. Next week, we'll pick up with me packing up in the morning and heading back to Mexico, where Shadow gets to go back to his lovely bed and his nice, cushy life, where we don't have to worry about windstorms in a tent in Arizona in the middle of January. If you haven't yet, go ahead, like, share, and subscribe. I do also have public videos, so you'll get a notification when those are live. See you next time.